Okay, we're going to start and finish up part number 7, which is going to be this part right here. This is going to use the fillet tool, which we're going to show you how to get this kind of curved edge in here. And so we're going to do part number 8. So first thing we're going to do is go into our Fusion, open up our data panel. And now what I've done is I'm in my, if you go to home, you can see everything. I'm going to go to my Learn 360, my basic parts, and I'm going to do part 7, which I've already started. Now, what I've done is I deleted out part 7 to kind of start over in case we missed anything. But you would pick up where you're at in that version of part 7. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a sketch. I'm putting my sketch here on the top plane, so we've got it. I'm going to add my rectangle in, start at my point of origin, and my rectangle is going to be 4 inches wide by 3 inches tall. And then I'm going to add in my circle for the half part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see this. You want to put your circle point right at the center where it's got where it give you the triangle that you're at the midpoint. And I can either dimension this out all the way is what I want, or I'm just going to go and touch to the corner because I want it to go to the edge, which will give me for the edge. Okay, so I'm going to hit finish my sketch. I'm going to change my home view so that I can get my extrusion. I'm going to right click and do press pull. I want to pull out all of these objects, so I'm going to pull them up and extrude them out. And the total height of this is going to be 1/2 inch, 2 inches. So I'm going to make it a 2-inch extrusion. And there's my basic opening part. So now we're going to go to the front of the sketch. And I'm at the front of the sketch. I'm going to add in another sketch or front of it. I'm going to add in another piece for it. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to add in I'm going to click right on this to click on the shape that I'm going to create. I'm going to add my rectangle in. I'm going to start at my bottom here, so the bottom corner. And now here's where we talked about you can actually measure this out if you want to count the squares. Or what I can do is I'm just going to kind of get close. So I know I don't need all of this, so I'm not going to go all the way to the edge. But what I'm going to do is I know that the height of it is going to be 1 inch, right? And I'm going to keep the length, and I know that length is not right because it's way more than it should be, but I'm going to hit the enter key. So there's my dimension. But now what I'm going to do is using the piece that I know. So this is, I'm showing you kind of a trick here. So I can either make it exactly 4.5 inches if I count it out from this edge to this edge, it'd be 4.5. Or I know that base, if I look at that base, that little arm there, it is 2 squares, so that would be 1 inch. So I'm just going to dimension this from the edge that I know. So I'm going to dimension from here to the edge of my cutout, and I'm going to make that 1 inch. Now what that does, you see it pushes this out to this extra space. Now I don't need to measure that far out, but I really don't care because I'm going to extrude that out. So I'm going to hit the finish. I'm going to go back to the home here so I can get it. I'm going to do my extrusion. So I'm going to do right click, press pull. I'm going to press pull both of these pieces. I'm going to run them through, and I'm just going to get it to exit out, or I can do all. If I wanted to go my extent, I would do all, and it would just go to all of it to get it. And I'm going to hit OK. And my piece has been extruded out. Okay, so now I've got kind of the basic piece of it. The next part we want to do is we're going to put the hole in the top. So I'm going to rotate my view so I can get to the top of it. I'm going to add my hole, put my hole type right here on the top. Looking at the dimensions of that hole, it looks 2 squares, so that's going to be a 1 inch diameter hole. So I'm going to change this to make it a 1 inch diameter hole. Now I'm going to have to measure it from side to side. So from the front, it looks like the center point is 1.5 inches. So I'm going to go center point to the edge as 1.5. Okay. And then from the edge in, it also looks like it's 1.5. So I'm going to go from the center point to the edge, and that is going to be the 1.5. And so then what I'm going to do is make sure that I've got the holes at that 1 inch. I can do the distance of the hole. I'm going to do all because it's going to go all the way through the hole. I'm going to hit OK. And there is our hole. So now we've got the hole cut out of it. So then the next thing that we're going to do is we need to add on that back circular part. And there's really two pieces of it, and kind of looking at it, there's a couple ways you can do it. The way I'm going to do it is I'm just going to rotate around to the back so I can see the back of it. So here's the back of it, and I'm going to add on because it's got a little bit of a raised part, then it goes into the circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a sketch onto the back. So I'm going to sketch right onto the back. I'm going to add a rectangle starting right at this edge, and that rectangle is going to go. That rectangle is going to go up half an inch, so we're going to go 0.5. So if I'm looking at it, it looks like that before it starts into the curve for the circle, it goes up half of an inch. I'm going to go half an inch, and the length of it is going to go. Oh, I don't want to do. I want to make my length. I need to make the height of it 0.5, the length of it 2 inches. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter. So that's going to be the length is 2 inches, the height is 0.5. I'm going to extrude this out, E key, click on my face. I'm going to bring it this way, and it's going to come in. Looking at that, it's coming in 1 inch. So we're going to come in 1 inch. I'll make it -1. -1. So it comes in, and there's our face here. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the back side of it, and this is all using the join, so I'm joining everything together. So now I'm going to go back into here. I'm going to add in another sketch. I could have done it on the same sketch. I'm just going to add in another sketch. I'm going to add a circle in, put my circle right up here at the midpoint. I find the midpoint of it. I'm going to go right to the edge, which is going to give me a 2-inch circle, but I'm going to put it right there to the edge. And then I'm going to extrude that out, that 2 inches. So I'm going to finish my sketch, right click, press pull that side across. I'm going to pull it this way, -2, so it's going to go, oh, -1 inch. I'm sorry, -1 inch. Make sure I go -1 inch. And there is my rounded part. Now we talked a little bit, and some of you might have already been using this, but the next tool that we're going to use is that fillet tool, which will give us that curved edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and do this fillet tool, click on this bottom edge right here, and I'm going to make it 0.5 inches. And what that is going to do is give us the edge and make it a constant fillet. Now I can also do some different things with it where we can change different things that we want to do. We'll talk about these as we go through, but right now we're just going to keep it as constant, and we're going to make what do we want our corner type to be. So we've got everything. Just leave it as it normally is. Just do a 0.5 fillet. Now what I can do is if I add this, I can drag this down and I can change what I want the fillet to be. So what I'm going to do is just keep that. And if I look at my front view or get at my home view here, so got it. So there is part number 7. I'm going to come up here and make sure that I save this. And I'm going to call this finished. Make this a milestone. And we're going to make this completed part. So we've got it. And there is my milestone for part number 7. Congratulations.